You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I want you to know before I even start this show how much I appreciate you and our entire health-based community. Thanksgiving is just one of those nice times that hopefully we look out onto our life and really just begin to appreciate everything that we have, that we've been given, that we've been so blessed to see in our life. And one of the things that I like to do is just say, even if there are things that I feel like maybe I would like to improve, or there's something out there that I want to achieve, I never want to lose sight of the fact that there is so much that I already do have. And as bad as things may ever seem in your life, I want you to understand is that sometimes, and I know that it's not always as nice to think about, someone else out there right now would love to be in your same position, love to have your life. And I just want to take this time right now, again, to simply focus more on all that I have to be grateful for. And one of those things specifically is you and our health-based community. So I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you. It's been another amazing year here at the Cabral Concept with episode now, I think, 1,392 today. So 1,392 shows that I've been able to chat with you, communicate with you, and just have a nice little conversation about how we can improve our overall life, our wellness, our weight loss, our anti-aging, our relationships, our mental-based health. So it's been a fun ride, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Hopefully you don't plan on stopping listening. All right, so let's get into today's show today. Today's show is all about how I and many other people, especially that I've been able to teach this method to, are able to get through a big holiday. We've got a lot coming up, right? We've got holiday parties, we've got New Year's parties, we've got Christmas, we've got Hanukkah, we have Thanksgiving. So how do we survive these holidays without really throwing our inflammation off, our blood sugar off, dealing with weight gain? So let's just go over that. I mean, let's go through a plan today that's very simple, that's very straightforward. I'm going to keep this show short because it is Thanksgiving, but I'm just going to give you 5 tips, 5 simple tips to exactly what I do. And I've just found it to allow me not to have to take 2 days to recover after a big holiday, meaning that, there was so much food and alcohol and all these things that I never really recovered. Like I felt terrible the next day. And so what I want to do is give you a simple plan. What can you do today that's realistic, that's going to enable you to also use this plan with family, friends, and throughout the rest of the year? All right. So the first thing is this. It's actually looking at your meal schedule for the day. So I'll just tell you exactly what happens in my household. So in my house, we head over to my mother and father's around 10:30, 11 a.m., probably closer to 11 a.m. because we're trying to wrangle our 2 girls, get them out of the house, get them ready for the day. Make sure my dog is taken care of as well. So what we do is we go over my mom's, and then dinner will be served probably somewhere around 12:30. So we have from 11 o'clock to 12:30, and there'll be appetizers out. Now, I want you to think about this, though, okay, because this is all part of the plan. There's strategy around this. So when we look at it, I could eat from 11 o'clock to 12:30 when we sit down as a family for dinner. And then our dinner's going to last about an hour to maybe even a little bit more with a little dessert after that, okay? So the meal at my mom and dad's, my parents, is going to last from 12:30, we know that, till probably, let's say, 1 o'clock, 1:10 for like when we're actually eating, all the food. And then there's going to be cleanup and all that. And it's always amazing too, because, it takes all day to cook, well, more days, right, to prep. And then you sit down, you only eat for like a half hour. So that's always like, hey, don't rush it. Like, let's relax, let's sit down, let's enjoy. But of course, how long are your kids going to sit at a table for? So we try to let them just go off and play, and we can just enjoy and eat slowly and enjoy. But let's just say, okay, so let's say it's 12:30 to 1:30. Great. You clean up for a bit, Then you sit down, you might have a little dessert, you might have a little coffee, tea, whatever it might be. And that's going to then extend it to, let's say, 2 o'clock, 2:30 or so for dessert and coffee. Okay, so you're looking at about 2 hours there of eating. Now, why is this important? This is actually very important because you would extend that 2.5 hours to 3.5 hours, or actually 4 hours, if you started at 11 o'clock. So it's an important key point to look at that. Actually, that's 3.5 hours, yes. So 11 to 12, and then another 2.5 is 3.5 hours. So if you listen to yesterday's show, the more food you're consuming over that greater period of time, there's more chance for endotoxins to build up in the body and just overall just bloating and more energy being used for digestion. Whereas one tip I can give you is this. On Thanksgiving or big holidays where when you know that you're going to have a big lunch. I'm going to have a big lunch at 12 o'clock, 12:30 or so. There's no doubt about it. Okay, no doubt about it. So here's what I'm going to do. That is the day that you may decide to do an intermittent fast all the way up to lunch. Now, you may not do this. I'm going to give you an alternative if you've already been through this a few times and you know that you're going to eat a normal size meal, that you're not going to eat twice as much at lunch that you typically would. But if you know yourself and you just say, listen, it's Thanksgiving, and again, this is the United States, but you can take this anywhere in the world. So you can say to yourself, okay, it's Christmas, it's Thanksgiving, it's whatever holiday. If you are not going to eat double, then you could do your smoothie that morning or whatever you decide for your breakfast. And then you'll even be less likely to overeat at lunch. But if you know yourself and you know that you just love all the food and you want to eat more at lunch, okay, this may be that day then to just fast until lunch. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you skip those appetizers an hour to 90 minutes before the meal, or even do what I do, maybe just start munching on them 10 minutes before you sit down, then what you've done is you've cut out an hour extra of eating. It matters. It really does. When you are constantly putting food and kind of just jamming it in your stomach for 3 hours at one sitting, that's a lot. It takes a lot of energy. A lot of people say, oh, I get tired after Thanksgiving and I want to take a nap after lunch because of all the tryptophan in the turkey. Sure, that's possible. It's possible. But a lot of the time, you want to take a nap because so much energy has to be used to breaking down all of that food that is being diverted away from most non-pertinent or non-emergency based parts of the body. That's why. So it's all going towards digestion. So all the blood flow is going to your stomach. So that's why your body wants to take a nap, okay? Hey, it's basically telling you, you go shut down, go sit on the couch for a while, go fall asleep while we take all of this energy from you overeating, and we're going to use this for digestion. So my first tip is this. If you can, only have a normal sized lunch. Enjoy all your favorite foods. They can be cheat foods. Enjoy all your favorite foods that you want, okay, as long as you're healthy, but maybe don't eat double. But if you know that you're going to eat double, you just love it, okay, this would be the day that you intermittent fast, that you not just intermittent fast, you're doing that every night, but that you go longer until lunch and don't start those appetizers an hour before lunch. Okay. Now, the second one is this. Aid your digestion. Aid your digestion. It's going to help you with bloating, with gas, with acid reflux, with falling asleep after lunch. And what do you do with that? Well, you take digestive enzymes. Now, too late if you don't already have them. That's okay. We can think about them for the rest of the holidays and always having them on hand. But we have one called daily digestive enzyme, and you can just look at the label. But what it contains, and I'm going to share with you exactly what it contains. It contains lipase to break down fats. It contains amylase to break down carbs. It contains proteases to break down proteins. There's a lot of other ACEs in there, ASEs, to break down all sorts of different parts of the food. But it also contains things called gentian, as well as bromelain, as well as papain, in order to bring more heat to the stomach. So they're basically digestive bitters. Gentian, and that's one way to pronounce it, there's many different ways, is an ancient bitter used in Ayurveda, used in traditional Chinese medicine. I mean, it's used all over the world as an aid to digestion, okay? Digestive bitters is one thing. Even like if you think about like Italian bitters, like the bitters that my grandparents used to drink and things like that would be aiding in digestion. Very acidic for the stomach. So they're acidifying the stomach, which the stomach's supposed to be acidic when you're breaking down proteins especially. It's then allowing that food to be broken down faster and easier and move through the stomach so there's less fermentation and bacterial overgrowth there. So they work phenomenally well. How many do you take? You can't really take too many enzymes. It might cause some loose stool. But what I recommend is for a normal meal, you'll take 1 to 2 at the start of the meal. Now, for a special occasion like Thanksgiving or a big holiday, what I recommend is take 1 to 2 at the start of the meal. Then you can take 1 or 2 mid-meal or at the end of the meal, and they'll work phenomenally well. Okay, so that's regular. They're called daily digestive enzymes. We'll try to link them up at stephencabral.com/1392, or you can always head over to equilibriumnutrition.com. Now, there's something else, though. This is a special one. So there's an enzyme called gluten and dairy support. So that's an enzyme with larger amounts of lactase to break down lactose, which is the sugar in dairy. And there's also something called DPP4, and there's other ones as well, that will help break down gluten. So if you know you're going to have some pie, if you know you're going to have some ice cream, if you know you're going to have all these wheat-based products or cookies, whatever it might be, then before dessert, you could take 1 or 2, or maybe even more if you need to, depending on how many you're having, of the gluten and dairy support. And again, you don't have to use the Equilibrium Nutrition brand. Just look at the label, and you can decide to take whatever brand you feel fits best for you. So why do I recommend those? Simply put, you're eating more food, you need more digestive support. Supplements are literally what they say. They are to supplement your current diet or lifestyle. In this case, you're acting a little out of the normal. You're acting like you're eating a lot of food, like way more. Well, that's more than your digestive system should have to handle. Knowing that, give it some support. Simple. Another thing that helps a lot with digestion that I love to do, I do a little bit of San Pellegrino, or I'll do Mountain Valley sparkling with a squeeze of lemon or lime. That, believe it or not, I know that lemon and lime are very alkaline-based fruits, but they're actually acid-based fruits coming in. So they're acidic, so they actually help with digestion. Same with a little bit of the bubbles from the sparkling water, which aids in creating space and air and room and vata, as they call it in Ayurvedic medicine. And so that's very beneficial as well. So huge fan of that. That's what I'll do during a big meal. And if I ever go out to dinner, with my wife or at a restaurant, and if I don't want to drink alcohol, that's a really nice aside. And again, I don't drink alcohol as much. I just feel that, I don't want to get too deep into it today. I did a whole big interview with Melissa Ambrosini before on alcohol intake, but you're not going to feel most likely your best the next day. And it's just, I'm at the point now, and especially with 2 young girls, that I want to feel my best. I don't want a down day with them especially. I don't want a down day with my family. And if it's work, I never drink during the work week. And the reason is that I want to be at my best. I want to be at my best for others and my people, and I don't want to force it. I don't want to push through with caffeine or whatever it might be. So anyway, as an aside, but if you were to drink a little red wine or a little alcohol, drink it with the meal or after the meal. And that, again, acidity from alcohol, there's no alkaline alcohol. The acidity from alcohol will actually help a little bit with the digestive process. So feel free. You can do the non-alcoholic version, which is the lemon or lime water. Do a little sparkling if you want, or a little bit of red wine if you choose to, or again, any alcohol of your choice. Beer is not going to help this process. So let's remove the beer, which is only going to increase more fermentation, not going to be great for the gut. But let's say you did a little bit of wine, or you did a little bit of spirits. That would be fine. Okay, so we have that. We've taken that into account. Another one, though, is ginger tea. I always do a cup of ginger tea after the meal, and that's another great digestive aid. So I do my enzymes. No doubt I'll be doing dessert on Thanksgiving, so I'll be doing my gluten and dairy support there as well. And then there you have it. Okay, so next up, I'm a big fan of this as well. The next one is this. Go for a walk. Go for a walk after that meal. I know that you might say, well, everyone's inside, and trust me, you're probably with the family for the day. Go for a 20-minute walk. A 20-minute walk will slowly, a 20-minute walk will allow you to better aid in digestion. Okay, you're going to be on your feet, you're going to be upright, you're going to allow for digestion. Or I should say, and it's going to allow for less spike in blood sugar. So less fat storage potentially, better for oxidation of the body. Try to go for a 20-minute walk after the meal. Now, a couple ways that you can build this in. Great excuse. I'm going to take the dog for a walk. Would anyone like to join me? That's a great one. Love that. Why? Get other people to go for a walk. Get the whole family to go for a walk, especially if it's a nice day. Trust me, this is healthy for the whole family, all of these tips. Or if no one's really willing to go for a walk, there's no dog, and you feel like an outcast just going by yourself, if there are any kids at Thanksgiving or there's holiday party, get them just to go outside. Go outside, play with the kids, have fun, be upright, move around for 20 minutes. It's going to aid in digestion, going to better battle the bulge of spiking that blood sugar, okay? Super important. Now, along those same lines, and again, this is one that's optional, but highly recommended, is that morning, maybe even an hour, hour and a half before you go out for that Thanksgiving meal, do a little bit of exercise. The walk is just the walk. That's natural human movement, right? 10,000 steps a day. But if you want to better be able to burn calories and carbohydrates that day, hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of carbs. But if you want to burn more calories and better absorb the glucose and carbs that day, do a little workout that morning. Choose whatever you want. Honestly, today, I'm not gonna tell you what to do today. You can do some aerobic-based work. You can go for a jog outside, go for a bike. You could do one of my most recommended is a 20-minute resistance and 20-minute of intervals. That would be great. And then you're enjoying those meals, basically feeling great. You're feeling like you're on a high, and you're going to be able to take all those nutrients and be able to use them for repair rather than adding potentially body fat, okay? So really, really important one. Hopefully you check that out. I'll be doing one. I'll be doing body weight workouts that morning, but because I'm not going to leave my family that morning on a holiday. So what I'll do is I'll just do a body weight workout at home. Different than my morning routine. My morning routine happens every single day. I mean, honestly, unless I had 105-degree fever, I'm doing it every day. It's my morning movements, right? It's not even exercise, it's movements. But I'll be doing a workout that morning. Check out the workouts that I do at home and for previous podcasts. So you can do a body weight workout. You can go for a jog. You can go for a bike. You can do whatever you'd like. Even do a sauna if you want. Sauna would be great too. Burn some calories. You'll be all right. So that's a great one. Okay, my fifth one is this. This is a big one. I'm going to keep the show shorter today. I'll give you my exact schedule. So I go over my parents around 11 a.m. I'll have fasted that morning, maybe done a smoothie that morning. Okay, then I have lunch. That lunch spans from 12 o'clock. I skip the appetizers for that hour. Lunch goes from 12 to somewhere around 2:30 or so. Then at 3 o'clock, we're not done. It's meal number 2, family number 2. Then I head over to my in-laws. I head over to my mother-in-law's, and I think it's actually my sister-in-law who's hosting this year. And we do meal number 2. Not to be confused with meal number 1, but pretty much the same thing. It's going to be turkey, it's going to be stuffing, all of those things, and then dessert. So it's literally 2 meals, one at 12 o'clock or so, and then it's going to be another one. I get over there at 3, but I won't eat, and then that one will be around 5 o'clock at night. So I'm basically having lunch and dinner. I know it sounds crazy. They're huge meals, don't get me wrong, but it's lunch and dinner, and then I can temper the amount of food that I'm eating. Now, here's one way that I do that. So one way that I do it is that I have my plates. Now, we're not talking about a 9-inch plate that I always talk about, the psychology behind a 9-inch plate. No one's giving me a 9-inch plate on Thanksgiving. It's a 12-inch plate. Now, I fill that 12-inch plate, so don't get me wrong. I'm having a little bit more than I normally do. This is my cheat meal. It's a cheat day. I know I don't talk about cheat days, but it's like that. But I'm eating healthy foods. I honestly am. What am I eating that day? Well, I'm eating a lot of vegetables. I'm eating squash. I have some turkey that day. I'm eating all of those things. So I can make it a pretty healthy meal. Now, the desserts won't be as healthy, okay? But then at nighttime, I'm basically doing the same thing. I stay away from the bread stuffing. It's not my thing anyways. I don't really love it. If there's some rice stuffing, I'll do some rice. I don't go for as much of the processed bread stuffing. I'm not a fan of it. But I'll do, my wife makes mashed parsnips with some like celery root in there. It's delicious. She'll do some diced Japanese yams. We'll do, most likely, there'll be some acorn squash there. So those are things that I'll do, and then I'll do turkey with it. There'll be salad. I'll do all of those things. In an Italian-Portuguese family, we do the salad after the meal, so that's what I'll have. If I still want to eat more after that, then I do my salad, right? So that's how I temper it. I do one plate. I don't go back 1,000 times. And so that's something to think about. Now, the last part, though, is that a lot of people, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock that night, what will they do? They'll go back for a turkey sandwich. They'll do a little late-night snack. Skip that. Skip that one. If you don't do anything else, take out that before bed snack. I'll tell you why. By hopefully bedtime, if you stop eating by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 3 hours later by, let's say, 10 o'clock, you're going to bed, or maybe it's a holiday, so you're going to bed 11, 12, midnight, whatever it might be, you'll have had some time for your body finally to have moved all that food out of your stomach, and now your blood sugar has come down. Don't respike it before bed. Don't put food in your stomach where now you're not going to get a good night's sleep because your body's working on now digesting another meal right before bed. That spikes the blood sugar. That's going to cause a lot more energy to go there. That's going to really swell up that lymphatic system. These are important things to look at. And remember, with that second meal, take more enzymes. Give your body a chance to break down that food. After dinner, too, we'll still go out for a walk. So a couple things. One, we'll take all the kids. They'll go outside. We'll play for a bit. Probably a little dark this time of the year. But then when I get home, I'll be taking my dog for a walk, too. So again, don't overlook them. There's small things that you can do, but they add up tremendously. All right, I'm going to keep the podcast at that for today. Quick recap. If you know that you're going to overeat that day, if you know it's going to be a big day of eating, any holiday, whatever it might be, do a longer intermittent fast. Maybe take it right until lunch that day. All right, use enzymes. Your daily digestive enzyme and your gluten and dairy digestive support if you are going to be consuming a larger meal. Or if you just want, again, we have people who use them in our practice all the time for just digestive aid. Use them to your advantage. They're supplements. They're meant to supplement your lifestyle. Okay. Work out that day if possible a little earlier in the day, or maybe even between meals if you were doing that. And that will enable you to better utilize all of those calories and carbohydrates. Okay. The next one is this. Go for a 20-minute walk or get outside, play with the kids after each of those meals, okay? It'll make a big difference in terms of digestion. It will make a big difference in terms of blood sugar. And the last one is skip the late night snack or sandwich. It is going to be the most detrimental out of any of the meals that day. You don't need it. Your taste buds are only going to enjoy it for a minute or two. Skip it. You'll feel better that next day. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy your whole holiday season. And if I can help, always do feel free to reach out on Instagram, our support group, cabralsupportgroup.com. Let us know how we can help. And of course, do feel free to pass this show along to anyone you believe it can serve. Take care. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stephencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.